Y'all. 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 Pull up a chair, lock the door, put the phone on Do Not Disturb, because the United States woke up this morning and decided it was going to wear all of its mess on the outside today. Baby. 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 Listen to me right now. I'm sitting here scrolling, sipping, minding the very last sliver of business I have left in this body, and the internet has handed me 4 different scandals in one breath. 4. A fake doctor with a diploma that looks like it printed off a clearance kiosk at the mall. 36 grown elected adults in Oklahoma voting NO on banning child marriage like that was a normal Tuesday afternoon decision. A woman they're calling Chef Mila standing in the middle of a courtroom auditioning her body like the bailiff was a casting director and the judge was a record exec. And Druski showing up to Cardi B with a mariachi band like the BET Awards is suddenly a Telemundo telenovela with a hip-hop budget. And I am supposed to act like these 4 stories are unrelated. I'm supposed to scroll past them like they don't all whisper the same exact secret. Nah. Nah, baby. Not on this channel. Not today. Not while I have a microphone and a Wi-Fi connection. Because here is the thing nobody is brave enough to say out loud yet, and I'm about to say it inside the first 90 seconds of this video. Every single one of these stories is the same story wearing a different wig. America is not in a scandal era. America is in a credentials collapse. Everybody is faking who they are, everybody is voting on who other people are allowed to be, everybody is auditioning for a role they did not earn, and we're handing out trophies for it on national television in primetime with sponsorships from major brands. Sit with that. Sit all the way down with that. Because by the time we finish this video, you are going to see the pattern the news cycle is begging you not to see. And once you see it, baby, you cannot unsee it. You will never look at a title, a vote, a viral clip, or an award show the same way again. You will be ruined for the algorithm. You will be ruined for cable news. You will be ruined for the group chat. Good. That is the goal. Let me set the table. Let me get into it. Let me grab the receipts, because you know I do not show up empty-handed. I do not. Ever. We are starting with the woman who has the entire timeline in a chokehold this morning, and her name is Cheyenne Bryant. Now. 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 For the people in the back who have been pretending not to know, Cheyenne Bryant is one of those personalities who walks into every room with the word doctor welded to the front of her name like it was tattooed at birth. Doctor this. Doctor that. Doctor on the podcast. Doctor on the panel. Doctor in the bio. Doctor in the caption. Doctor in the email signature with a little gold seal next to it for extra spice. Doctor when she signs the receipt at brunch. Doctor when she picks up her dry cleaning. Doctor at the airport check-in counter. Doctor at the dentist office. Like ma'am, there is only supposed to be one doctor in this room and that is the man with the drill. And listen, listen, listen. I'm not anti-credential. I love a person who put in the work. I respect a real doctorate with my entire chest. I bow down to anybody who lost 5 years of their 20s writing a dissertation while the rest of us were at brunch ordering bottomless mimosas. That is sacred labor. Sacred. Holy. So when somebody walks around demanding to be called doctor, my first instinct is, okay, mama, congratulations, show me where the trenches were. Show me the cohort. Show me the committee. Show me the defense. Show me the late nights. Show me the receipts. Show me the dissertation title. Show me the advisor who tortured you for 4 years over a single comma in the abstract. Well baby, somebody by the name of Lloyd Merchant Smith decided he was tired today, and he posted a picture. And not just any picture. He posted a picture of what is allegedly her diploma. He captioned it, and I quote, Dr. Bryant was in the doctoral trenches with me, don't hate. Trenches. Sir. Sir, what trenches? Because when the internet zoomed in on that diploma, baby, the entire timeline lost the ability to inhale. You could hear the air leave the country. You could hear the gasp travel from coast to coast like a wave. The university name on that paper looked like somebody typed it in Comic Sans at 3 in the morning during a Wi-Fi outage. People are saying it looks like it says the University of Timu. Timu. As in the app where you buy a $4 dress that dissolves the first time it rains. As in a place you order a phone charger and it shows up as a keychain. As in a place where everything has free shipping because the items themselves are made out of disappointment and sadness. Now I am not here to slander an institution that I have not personally verified with my own 2 eyes. I am simply repeating what eyes around the world are telling me they see. And what they see is a piece of cardstock that has the structural integrity of a cereal box. The kind of cardstock that comes free in the back of a magazine. The kind of cardstock that is held together by hope and a glue stick. The kind of cardstock you would not trust to hold a birthday card, much less a terminal degree. And then, the degree itself. Read it with me. Read it slowly. It allegedly says Doctor of Educati. Not education. Educati. The word was clipped like the printer ran out of toner mid-sentence and the institution said, you know what, close enough, send it. Doctor of Educati in censorship. From Barkienville College. Barkienville. Listen to that name out loud one more time for me. Barkienville. That sounds like the place you board your dog when you go on vacation. That sounds like a Paw Patrol spin-off. Barkienville is not a college, baby. Barkienville is a kennel with a registrar's office bolted onto the side. The graduation ceremony probably involves treats. The valedictorian is probably a golden retriever named Buster. The school colors are probably brown and yellow because they could not afford a third dye lot. And I am supposed to call you doctor off of that. Off of Barkienville. Off of Educati. Off of a diploma where the seal looks like a wax stamp somebody melted with a Bic lighter at a kitchen table the night before the photo shoot. Now here is where I'm about to lose some of y'all, but I have to say it. The reason this is so offensive, the reason it stings, is because real doctorates exist. Real doctorates require real suffering. Real doctorates require you to sit in a room with 7 professors who are paid to find every weakness in your argument. Real doctorates require you to lose your social life, your sleep, sometimes your relationships, sometimes your mental health, all to walk across a stage and be called by a title that you actually earned through sweat and tears and red pen revisions. So when somebody walks around insisting that everybody address them with that exact title, and the paperwork backing it up looks like it came free with a Happy Meal, that is not a personal flex. That is theft. That is identity theft from every single human being who actually did the work. That is robbing graduate students who are eating ramen noodles in their 2nd decade of education. That is robbing immigrants who studied in 2nd and 3rd languages while working 2 jobs. That is robbing single mothers who wrote chapters between bottles and bedtime stories. That is robbing the children of those single mothers who watched their mama type at 2 a.m. for years. That is robbing the entire concept of expertise. That is robbing every black woman who has ever walked into a room and had to over-explain her credentials because somebody assumed she did not have any. And the audacity, the whole audacity, is showing up on platforms, speaking on subjects, charging fees, signing books, accepting honorariums, posing for photos, and demanding the title while the paperwork would not get you a hall pass at a community center. I have a homegirl. She got her doctorate from a real institution. She lost weight she could not afford to lose. She had panic attacks in the library. She defended her dissertation while pregnant. She walked across that stage with the hood on her shoulders and she wept. She wept like somebody had just released her from a prison sentence. And now she has to share an internet with women who paid Barkienville $200 and a Cash App tip. Hell no. Hell no. Hell no. My homegirl is currently working on her 2nd book. She is teaching, she is mentoring, she is consulting, she does not use the title in her email signature because she said, and I quote, real ones know. Real ones know. So if you have to keep reminding people you are a doctor, baby, the real ones already know what time it is. But here is the part that I need you to lock into, because this is where the unique angle starts crawling out from underneath the gossip. Why are we even in a country where a person can do this and survive it? Why are we in a country where you can slap a fake title on yourself and the algorithm rewards you, the panels book you, the brands pay you, the audience defends you, the comments protect you, the streaming services give you a docu-series? Because somewhere along the way, we stopped checking. We stopped asking. We stopped verifying. We started accepting titles the way we accept Instagram filters. As long as it looks right at first glance, we move on. We swipe. We like. We share. And that, baby, is the disease. The disease is not Cheyenne Bryant. The disease is that we have collectively agreed to stop reading the fine print. On everything. The fine print on the doctor. The fine print on the chef. The fine print on the lawmaker. The fine print on the influencer with the wellness brand. The fine print on the life coach who has never been alive long enough to coach anybody. The fine print on the relationship expert who has been divorced 4 times. The fine print on the financial guru selling a course about money he has never personally made outside of selling the course. We have built a digital economy where the costume is the qualification, and the moment you start looking past the costume, the entire scheme falls apart like wet paper. Which is why nobody wants you to look. Which is why nobody wants you to ask. Which is why this video is going to get a strange amount of hate in the comments from people who are protecting their own costumes. Watch. Just watch. Read the bottom of the comments section in a week and you will see exactly which costumes I poked. Which is the perfect, the chef's kiss, the cinematic transition into our second guest of the morning. Because while we were busy zooming in on a piece of paper from Barkienville, 36 grown human beings in the state legislature of Oklahoma were busy voting on whether children should be allowed to be married off in the United States of America in the year of our Lord 2000 and now. Read that sentence again. Because I had to read it 3 times. There was a vote. There was an actual vote. There was a bill on the floor that said, hey, maybe, just maybe, 12-year-olds, 13-year-olds, 14-year-olds should not be walked down an aisle and handed off to a grown man as a legally binding spouse. That was the bill. That was the entire ask. That was the floor of the conversation. And 36 elected officials looked at that bill, looked at the camera, looked at their own children at home asleep in their bedrooms, and said no. Let me read these names out loud. Not because I think you're going to memorize them. But because the internet has a short attention span and these names deserve to be carved into the side of the building. Get your notepad. Get your screenshot finger ready. Here we go. Chad Caldwell. Josh Cantrell. Rusty Cornwell. Denise Crosswhite Hader. Ryan Eves. Tom Gann. Jim Grego. Rob Hall. David Harden. Neil Hayes. Derek Hildebrand. Brian Hill. Justin Humphrey. Molly Jenkins. Cody Maynard. Calvin Newton. Kevin Norwood. Jim Olson. Kenton Patskowski. Eric Roberts. Jim Shaw. David Smith. Clay Stairs. Marilyn Stark. Jay Stegall. Danny Sterling. Dylan Travis. Rick West. Jonathan Wilk. Danny Williams. Randy Worthen. And the rest of the names on that roster. Every single one of those names voted, in the year we are currently living in, that child marriage should remain legal. Not in a foreign country. Not in a documentary. Not in a Lifetime movie. In Oklahoma. In our backyard. In a state inside the borders of this very nation. With a flag flying over the building while they raised their hands. Now here is the math that nobody is doing on television. From the other side of the aisle, 0. 0 votes against the ban. 0. So this is not a both sides moment. This is not a both parties failed us moment. This is one specific cluster of grown adults, sitting in one specific room, making one specific choice. And we are supposed to scroll past it like it was just another headline competing with the latest TikTok dance. No, baby. No. These names belong on a wall. These names belong in a yearbook of shame. These names belong on a billboard. These names belong on the back of a t-shirt sold for charity to fund the organizations rescuing girls from forced marriages. And I am going to call them what they functionally are, because I am tired of dancing around it. These 36 people, in any community I respect, would be considered a danger. A danger to children. A danger to families. A danger to the very concept of childhood. And one of them, is a woman. Which means she sat in that room, looked at the question, looked at her own girlhood, looked at every little girl she has ever met, and said, yeah, sign her over. Sign her away. I cannot. I cannot process that with my brain. I cannot get my mouth around the syllables of that decision. And before anybody slides into the comments with the well it depends on the parental consent clause, hush. Hush. Sit down. Read a book. Read 3. Read the entire library. Because the entire scientific, psychological, developmental, neurological consensus is that a child's brain is not finished cooking until they are pushing 25 years old. 25. So if a brain is not even fully assembled at 22, you cannot stand in front of me with a straight face and argue that a 13-year-old has the capacity to consent to a lifetime contract with another human being she did not choose, in a bed she did not pick, in a household she cannot legally leave. That is not marriage. That is not tradition. That is not culture. That is not religious freedom. That is captivity with a ring on top. That is human trafficking with a cake-cutting ceremony. That is abuse with a registry at Target. I am not softening it. I am not softening it. I refuse to soften it. And let me say something else, because I know somebody is going to type it. Somebody is going to say, well, there was probably some kind of legitimate exception for unique circumstances. No. No, baby. No. The bill was specifically written to close those exceptions. The bill was specifically written to say, regardless of the loophole, regardless of the parental signature, regardless of the religious community, regardless of the financial arrangement, no child gets married in this state. Period. And 36 people said no to that. They did not say yes with conditions. They said no to the ban itself. Which means they specifically, intentionally, with full awareness, wanted to keep the door open. Which means in any rational legal system, they should be removed from office, investigated, and at minimum, never trusted near a child welfare decision ever again. But again. Again. Notice the pattern. Notice the shape of the story. Because what is the connective tissue between a fake doctorate from Barkienville and 36 Oklahoma lawmakers protecting child marriage? It is the same disease. It is the same exact disease wearing different clothes. It is the willingness of grown adults in this country to stamp themselves with authority they did not earn and use it to harm people who cannot defend themselves. A fake doctor harms patients, clients, students, listeners, anybody who takes her advice on mental health, parenting, finances, or relationships. A lawmaker who protects child marriage harms children. Different costume. Same monster. Same monster wearing 2 different uniforms in the same theater. And the audience keeps clapping because the costumes are pretty and the lights are dim. And the reason I am laying this out for you slowly, methodically, beat by beat, is because I want you to start training your eye. Once your eye is trained, you will see the pattern in every single news cycle for the rest of your life. You will see it on Sunday in church. You will see it on Monday at work. You will see it on Tuesday in the carpool line. You will see it on Wednesday in your group chat. You will see it on Thursday on the timeline. You will see it on Friday at happy hour. You will see it on Saturday at the barbecue. The pattern is everywhere because the pattern is the structural foundation of how late-stage attention economies work. The costume is the qualification. The vibe is the credibility. The aesthetic is the argument. Until somebody like you, somebody like me, decides we are not going to participate anymore. Now let me wipe my forehead, take a sip of this water, take a sip of this tea, take a breath, and pivot, because the timeline has not finished cooking yet. Because while these stories were unfolding, the internet was simultaneously losing its entire mind over a viral video involving a woman they are calling Chef Mila and a clip involving Stefon Diggs. Y'all have seen it. Y'all have seen the choreography. Y'all have seen the wardrobe choices, which were, I am being polite, minimal. Y'all have seen the body language that is being presented as a resume. And the audio underneath it, the audio is somebody crooning that he is going to treat you like every day is your birthday. And men. The men. The men in those comment sections lost the ability to think with the organ God assigned for thinking. They were tripping over themselves typing the same 3 letters. Hired. 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 Like Chef Mila had submitted a portfolio at LinkedIn corporate headquarters with footnotes, references, and a notarized letter of recommendation from Anthony Bourdain himself. I have to step in. I have to step in as your designated friend, your designated big sister, your designated unpaid life coach. Because some of y'all need to be told the truth in your face like a parent who loves you but is tired. Listen. Listen to me. When everything a woman is offering is her body and her aesthetic, you are not looking at a chef. You are looking at a brand strategy. You are looking at a marketing campaign. You are looking at a content pipeline disguised as a person. And there is nothing inherently wrong with monetizing your beauty in the lane that beauty pays in. I am not the morality police. I have never been the morality police. Get your money. Stack it. Invest it. Buy real estate. Buy index funds. Get a tax accountant. Build generational wealth. Do it. I will applaud from a safe distance. But the men, the simple jacks, the consistent ones who fall for the exact same play every single quarter and act surprised at the result, those are the ones who need a wake-up call delivered with a metal spoon and a cowbell. Because the same dudes who lost their jobs over the last viral chef, the last viral nurse, the last viral teacher, the last viral lawyer, the last viral pharmacist, the last viral flight attendant, those same dudes are sitting in a courtroom this very minute typing hired under another viral clip. The play is identical. The names change. The drink changes. The outfit changes. The hook stays the same. And the cycle repeats every 90 days like a billing statement nobody wants to open. Let me say it for the men in the back, because some of you do listen to this channel even though you pretend you do not. Brother, when you watch a viral clip and your first instinct is to type a one-word response that gives away your entire monthly disposable income, you have to ask yourself, what is broken inside me? What did my upbringing not give me? What conversation did I not have with my father, my uncle, my older cousin? Because that response is not lust. Lust is private. That response is publicly typed loneliness. That response is publicly typed dysregulation. That response is publicly typed evidence that you are easier to manipulate than a toddler with car keys. And the algorithm knows it. The algorithm sees that response. The algorithm uses that response to train the next viral clip aimed directly at your wallet, your marriage, your custody arrangement, and your peace of mind. You are not a man in that moment. You are a target market. You are a metric. You are a conversion. And here, baby, is the part where the pattern locks in like a deadbolt. Because what is Chef Mila offering? She is offering a credential she did not earn. She is offering you the idea of a chef without the kitchen, the idea of a wife without the covenant, the idea of a partner without the history. And what are the men buying? They are buying the costume, not the qualification. Just like we collectively bought Cheyenne Bryant's diploma without ever asking to see the cohort photo. Just like Oklahoma is buying the costume of legislation while what is underneath is child harm dressed up in robes and a gavel. Same monster. Different cologne. Different perfume. Different lighting setup. Same monster. Are you starting to see it yet? Are you starting to see what nobody on the other channels is willing to say without softening it? We are not in a celebrity gossip cycle, baby. We are in a national audition where everyone has decided that the costume is the qualification. And the entire economy, social, political, sexual, financial, spiritual, is now organized around rewarding the costume and ignoring the qualification. I want you to take this thesis with you for the next 30 days. Just 30 days. Try it. Every single time you encounter a person presenting themselves as an authority, an expert, a partner, a leader, a teacher, a healer, a coach, anything that ends in or ist or, I want you to pause and ask one question. Where is the work? Show me the work. Show me the receipts behind the costume. Not in a hostile way. Not in a paranoid way. In a curious way, like a journalist would. And I promise you on everything, within those 30 days you will catch at least 5 people in your immediate circle wearing a costume they have not earned. You will be shocked. You will be relieved. You will save yourself thousands of dollars. You will save yourself entire relationships. You will save yourself years of confusion. All from one question. Which brings me, finally, to the most innocent-looking story of the day, the one I am not even mad at, the one that actually made me laugh out loud in my kitchen this morning. Druski. Sweet, ridiculous, walking meme machine, comedy genius without a degree Druski, decided to invite Cardi B to the BET Awards. And not with a text message. Not with an email. Not with a DM. Not with a phone call. Not with a formal letter. He pulled up with an entire mariachi band. A full mariachi band. Trumpets, sombreros, violins, the works. He is announcing he is hosting the BET Awards this year. He is serenading Cardi like he is about to ask for her hand in front of her abuela and her abuelo and 3 generations of cousins. And Cardi, bless her, looks at him with that signature Cardi face and says, "Baby, I am Dominican. Not Mexican. Dominican." And Druski, in the most Druski move of the entire calendar year, just shrugs and basically says, "Well, I already paid the mariachi deposit, so the mariachi stays." Hilarious. Iconic. Going in the scrapbook. Going in the highlight reel. But pause. Pause with me. Because even this story, this light-hearted little promotional moment, fits inside the pattern I have been screaming about for the last 15 minutes. Druski's whole career is the costume is the qualification. He puts on a wig, he puts on an outfit, he puts on a character, and we pay him. We love him for it. We elevate him to hosting major award shows because of the costume. Which is fine, because Druski is in on the joke. Druski knows his costume is a costume. Druski has never tried to convince the world that he is anything other than a man playing a character for laughs. That is integrity. That is honest costume work. There is a difference between costume as honest comedy and costume as dishonest credential. Druski lives on the honest side. Cheyenne Bryant lives on the dishonest side. And once you can tell those two sides apart, your media diet improves overnight. And the BET Awards itself, the entire award show, is a televised ceremony where we hand out trophies to people for the costume more than the qualification. Be honest with me. Be honest with yourself. Who actually deserves an award this year? Cardi B made waves, sure. She showed up consistently. She handled her personal business with grace. But beyond Cardi, how many of the names being announced this year did anything that genuinely shifted the culture? How many shifted the music industry on a structural level? How many shifted the way we think? Or are most of them being awarded for showing up consistently in a cute outfit at a paparazzi-friendly angle and trending on Twitter every other Tuesday? Because if we are awarding consistency in a costume, then half of those trophies belong on the same shelf as Cheyenne Bryant's diploma from Barkienville. I am proposing something tonight. I am proposing it on this channel, on this very upload, with my whole chest, with my whole heart, with both hands. I propose, as a self-appointed doctor of common sense, with a doctorate I awarded to myself from the prestigious University of Pay Attention, summa cum laude, that this country needs a reverse award ceremony. Hear me out. Hear me all the way out. We give out the regular awards in March. We give out the reverse awards in October. The reverse awards do not celebrate excellence. The reverse awards celebrate the loudest, dumbest, most televised, most well-documented collapses of the year. Picture it with me. Picture it. The Dumbest Criminal Award, presented to the 4 geniuses who live-streamed their own crime spree and then asked the judge for leniency because they did not know the camera was on. The Most Public Cheating Award, presented annually with a sponsorship from a hotel chain that wishes to remain anonymous. The Most Bought Credential Award, which will require nominees to bring their diplomas to the ceremony for a live verification segment hosted by an actual professor with tenure. The Most Embarrassing Diss Track Award, judged by a panel of producers who refused to produce it. The Most Public Custody Battle Award, with the trophy being delivered by a court-appointed mediator. The Most Spectacular Tax Evasion Award, presented in absentia because the recipient is currently unavailable to attend. The Reverse Lifetime Achievement Award for people who have managed to fail upward for 30 years in a row, with a special tribute reel. The Most Misused Title Award. The Loudest Cosplay of Expertise Award. The Best Pretend Chef Award. The Most Convincing Fake Lawyer Award. The Highest Resolution Fake Diploma Award. Imagine the speeches. Imagine the dresses. Imagine the after-parties. Imagine the after-parties. Imagine the SNL parody of the after-parties. Because at least the reverse awards would be honest. At least we would be admitting, openly, on camera, in primetime, with full corporate sponsorship and a red carpet, that the costume is the thing we are actually celebrating. We are not celebrating excellence. We are celebrating spectacle. And spectacle is fine. Spectacle is entertaining. Spectacle pays my bills, frankly. Spectacle pays your bills if you work in any kind of media. But spectacle should not be allowed to dress up in the clothes of expertise and walk into spaces where lives are on the line. Spectacle should not be allowed to call itself doctor and consult on a child's mental health. Spectacle should not be allowed to vote on a child's bodily future. Spectacle should not be allowed to walk into a courtroom and call itself a chef while a man's freedom hangs in the balance. Spectacle should not be allowed to walk onto a stage and accept a trophy for cultural impact when its only impact was a fit on a red carpet that nobody remembered by Monday. And I am begging you, when this video ends, before you scroll into the next clip the algorithm has lined up to harvest your dopamine, I need you to do one small thing. 1. Just 1. Ask the next person who calls themselves a title where the title came from. Just ask. Not in a mean way. Not in a confrontational way. Not in a gotcha journalist way. Just curiously. Hey, where did you study? Hey, what was your dissertation on? Hey, how long was the program? Hey, who was on your committee? Hey, what does your day-to-day actually look like in this field? Because we have built an entire culture on the assumption that nobody is going to ask. The assumption is the foundation. The assumption is the load-bearing wall. And the day a critical mass of us start asking, the costume economy collapses overnight. Overnight. Like a Jenga tower. Like a bad souffle. Like a Friday night Wi-Fi connection during a thunderstorm. The fake doctors disappear. The cosplay legislators get voted out. The viral chefs go back to being viral entertainers and stop pretending to be wives, partners, or culinary professionals. The award shows get honest. The currency of credibility gets revalued. And we, the audience, finally get to live in a country where the people running things actually know what they are doing. Imagine that. Imagine a country where the experts are actual experts. Imagine a country where the doctors are actual doctors. Imagine a country where the politicians have actually read the bills they are voting on. Imagine a country where the viral clips are made by people who can actually do the thing the clip is about. Imagine that. Sit with that vision. Memorize it. Because that vision is fully achievable. We are one collective decision away from it. 1. Now I know what some of y'all are about to type in the comments. Y'all are about to say, Tisa, baby, why are you stitching together 4 stories like this as a true crime documentary? And the answer, with my whole face, with my whole chest, with my whole spirit, is because the news cycle has trained you to consume these stories one at a time, isolated, decontextualized, served in tiny little disposable cups, so you forget them by the next morning. The news cycle has trained you to look at the fake doctor on Monday, forget her by Tuesday, get outraged about the child marriage vote on Wednesday, forget about it by Thursday, laugh at the viral chef on Friday, and clap for the awards on Saturday. And by Sunday, you cannot connect a single one of them. That is not a glitch. That is not a coincidence. That is not an accident of pacing. That is the design. The fragmentation is the strategy. Because a public that cannot connect dots is a public that cannot organize. A public that cannot organize is a public that cannot vote out a Patskoski or a Stegall or a Worthen. A public that cannot vote them out is a public that keeps living under their decisions, year after year, decade after decade, generation after generation. So when I say everything is connected, I do not mean it in a tinfoil hat way. I do not mean it in a conspiracy way. I do not mean it in a paranoid way. I mean it as a media literacy survival skill. Connect the dots. 3 words. Tattoo them on your forearm. Tape them to your mirror. Set them as your phone wallpaper. Connect the dots. And while we are connecting dots, let me sneak in one more layer for the truly attentive among you, because I know my real ones are still watching. There is a 5th story baked into the texture of everything I just laid out, and that is the conversation about gifts. The celeb source brother on the other channel got a question from a viewer named Word about whether giving gifts is selfish if it makes the giver feel good. And the answer to that question is the same answer as the answer to every other story we just covered. If your motivation is the appearance of generosity rather than the substance of generosity, you are wearing a costume. If your motivation is the appearance of expertise rather than the substance of expertise, you are wearing a costume. If your motivation is the appearance of love rather than the substance of love, you are wearing a costume. And costumes always, eventually slip. The wig falls. The makeup smudges. The mask cracks. And the real face underneath gets exposed by time, by pressure, by truth. Time is undefeated. Pressure is undefeated. Truth is undefeated. And there is a sixth story, and this one is going to take me to church for a second, so buckle in or skip ahead if it is not your thing, but I have to say it because the timeline already brought it up. Somebody named Sir Thomas asked the celeb source brother how marriage even worked in biblical times. Was there a ring? Was there a ceremony? Was there a courthouse? And the answer, the real answer, the one that ties this entire video together with a bow, is that marriage in those original texts was never about the ring. It was never about the costume. It was about a covenant. A bride was chosen. A price was paid. A waiting period was endured. A return was promised. A union was sealed. That is the pattern. Covenant. Price. Wait. Return. Union. 5 steps. No shortcuts. No costume substitutions. No fake diplomas. No quick auditions in courtrooms. No mariachi shortcuts. The ring is a symbol, sure, in the same way a diploma is a symbol, in the same way an award is a symbol, in the same way a title is a symbol. But the symbol is not the substance. The symbol is supposed to point to the substance. And the moment the symbol starts replacing the substance, you are no longer in a marriage, you are no longer in a credential, you are no longer in an expert relationship. You are in a costume rental. And costume rentals always come with a return date. So whether you are religious or you are not, the architecture of the old covenant model is teaching the same lesson my homegirl with the real doctorate is teaching, the same lesson the men typing hired need to learn, the same lesson Cheyenne Bryant cannot learn fast enough, the same lesson those 36 Oklahoma lawmakers will eventually learn the hard way at the ballot box. The lesson is this. Substance is built quietly, over time, in the trenches, when nobody is watching, when there are no cameras, when there is no algorithm, when there is no payoff in sight. The costume is built loudly, instantly, in front of cameras, for the algorithm, for the payoff. One is durable. One is disposable. Pick which one you want your life to be. Let me close this thing properly, because I respect your time and I respect mine. If you take nothing else from this video, take this. Carve it into your front door. Write it on a post-it. Sing it in the shower. Titles without trenches are theft. Votes without conscience are violence. Costumes without qualifications are scams. And awards without accountability are noise. We can do better than this. We can do better than this. Not the politicians. Not the celebrities. Not the algorithm. Not the news anchors. Us. The people sitting on our couches deciding what to click on next. The people deciding which clip deserves a comment and which one deserves a scroll past. The people deciding whose title gets respected and whose title gets questioned. We hold more power than they want us to remember. We hold more power than the BET Awards Committee. We hold more power than the Oklahoma State Legislature on the days they think nobody is watching. We hold more power than a viral clip with a mariachi band. We hold more power than a diploma from Barkienville. We hold more power than the algorithm we feed every day with our thumbs. The day we remember that, the costume economy ends. The day we remember that, Barkienville closes its doors. The day we remember that, those 36 names get retired from public service. The day we remember that, the next chef Mila has to learn how to actually cook before she gets booked. The day we remember that, Druski wins his award for the right reasons. The day we remember that, the country starts to look like a country again instead of a casting call with bad lighting. So drop me a number in the comments. The host of Celeb Source asked his audience for their favorite number, and I am going to borrow that energy, but I am going to ask you something better. Drop the year in the comments that you personally are going to stop accepting costumes as credentials. Just the year. 2026. 2027. 2000 never. Be honest. Be real with yourself. And while you are down there, smash that like button if any single sentence in this video made you sit up in your chair, made you pause the dishes, made you stop scrolling. Subscribe if you want this kind of dot connecting in your feed every single morning, because trust me, baby, the news is not slowing down. The costume economy is on overdrive this year. Hit the bell so you never miss when I go live, because we are going live this week to read these Oklahoma names one more time, slowly, on camera, with the spelling correct, for posterity, because the internet is forever and so is shame. And share this video. Share it with the auntie who keeps falling for fake credentials online. Share it with the cousin who thinks all politicians are the same. Share it with the homeboy who keeps typing hired under viral clips. Share it with the friend who is about to take advice from someone whose only qualification is a ring light and a confident voice. Share it. Share it. Share it. I will talk to y'all later. Stay sharp. Stay annoying. Stay asking questions. Stay reading the fine print. Stay zooming in on the diploma. Stay zooming in on the bill. Stay zooming in on the resume. Stay zooming in on the receipt. Stay zooming in on the trophy. And remember, the costume is never the qualification. The costume is never the qualification. The costume is never the qualification. Take care of yourselves out there. Bye.